right, so this is a quick video on using your TI-84 calculator to calculate a confidence interval for means. So let's say there was a reading score out there where a score of 243 is considered basic and 281 is considered proficient, and we sampled 1,471 students and found that the average of those students was 240 with a standard deviation of 42.17, and they want us to calculate a confidence interval. So the first thing we're going to figure out is this a Z or a T? And because it is standard deviation, we are using a T. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our calculator. And a reminder, your calculator does not replace all of the write-up that you have to do on a regular problem. It's just a way to double check your math at the end or know at the beginning what your numbers should be. So on this one, we're going to go to the same place. We're going to press Stat first. We're going to move over to where it says Tests. And again, because it's a confidence interval, we're looking for that word interval. And we've got a few choices here again. We've got a 7 and an 8, a Z and a T. The rest are some 2 samples, then we hit some proportions, then there's other words we don't know about. So it looks like for means, our choices are going to be 7 or 8. So on this one, it is a number 8. So we're going to go ahead and press that one. And you're going to have a choice here of whether you want it to go look at a list. Like if you had all the scores, all 1,471 to put in, you could put them into the list and tell it go look there and give me the confidence interval, or you can just enter all the basic information. So we're going to choose stats. They want to know what was your average. So we're going to put in 240 was our average. What was our standard deviation? Notice they even hint by giving you S sub X there to remind you, 42.17. How many were there? There were 1,471, and confidence interval, again, this has to be as a decimal, so 0.99. All right, so put in calculate here, and it will give you the full interval. So it says the average score should range between 237 and 242. Okay, with a average of 240 and a standard deviation of 42.17 with 1,471. Already taking care of degrees of freedom, doesn't mention it here, so you're going to have to remember to put that all into your write-up. Takes care of all of that for you. Notice it never asked you what the degree of freedom was. It's going to do that all on its own. So you just need to make sure that you answer the questions that they give you. And know that the difference between data and stats is data is going to send it to a list to look for the list of all these scores for all those 1,471 students, or you can move it over to stats and then you write out everything it asks for word, and that's it. Now, let's say that they didn't give us the standard deviation. They actually told us that instead of it being 42.17, let's say they told us that the population standard deviation was 42.17. Okay, so if that's the case, then I'm going to go over to tests. And again, I'm going to look between 7 and 8. And this time I would have a Z because they gave me the standard deviation. So if they happen to have told me that the population standard deviation was 42, looks very, very similar. We're going to go over here. Notice they changed the symbol for you as well. It's no longer S sub X, right? They're saying what's the standard deviation for the whole group? You put in 42.17. We still have 240 was the average. This is all still the same. And we can calculate that out as well. So again, this is just going to give you the low interval, the high interval. If you want the point estimate, you're going to have to find the midpoint and work backwards from here. But it's a nice check to just make sure that you're calculating everything correctly as you're writing up a free response question. All right, that's it.